Okay, here we are on overtime. These are the questions people send in. This one is for you, Governor. Governor, it's rumored you're considering another presidential run in 2024. Is there any truth to that?
Sure.
Oh, I love that. I'm telling you, this show's rubbing off on him. He's getting very
loose.
bold. Yes, loose.
Yeah, that was me. I never had the reputation of being bold. Wallflower type.
So you are considering it?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you should. I mean, why not? Because we need a normal Republican. I mean, as good as it gets Republican.
You know,
I'm sorry.
by the way, I may have just figured out why you never had kids. You're such a sweet talker. You know
I mean, but really, but do you think you could really take the party away from the clutches of the Trump cult as it is now? I mean, because even if it's not Trump, it's going to be a Trumper.
I would like to see what happens in the midterms.
Yeah.
I think, all I heard in 2016 was that we're going to do so much winning that we're going to be tired of winning, and we're going to ask him not to win anymore. And then we lost the House and the Senate in 18. We lost the presidency in 20. We lost 2 Senate seats in Georgia in 20. It's a lot of losing. I think they might want to go back to winning again.
Okay. Katty, as a Brit, what's your perspective of the UK's parliamentary system compared to our mode of governments? Oh, well, there's an academic question for you. But, it's...
Professor K.
It's relevant because most democracies are not what we have.
I mean, they have at least managed to get rid of leaders they didn't like.
Yeah, it's a lot easier.
They did, they took on Boris Johnson. They felt that Boris Johnson wasn't good for the party, and he was out the next day.
Right.
Which certainly doesn't happen here with the Republican Party and Donald Trump, despite all the losing that might have happened.
No. And they seem to have elections.
And I think the other thing, I was over in the UK for the Queen's funeral, and I'm not particularly a royalist or a Republican, but I don't have particularly strong feelings either way. But it has made me think, being here, there's something to be said for separating your head of state and your elected officials, and not investing in the presidency all of the kind of ceremonial stuff that goes with having a head of state. You give your elected head of state, who's the prime minister, a grilling. You make sure they're held to account, and then you have your queen or your king, as we have,
and
you let them be the ceremonial
they
head of
handle
state.
the gossip.
And they,
no, really, it's relevant because the other day I had Chris Kardashian on my podcast. It hasn't dropped yet, and I was saying that the Kardashians kind of became like the royal family of America. They're not governing, of course.
Oh, my God.
well,
But it's like
the royal family of America?
Yeah, because...
Now you've got Harry. You don't
because, like, everybody just wants to follow one family, just like the royals.
Yeah, but not that family.
Yeah.
I mean, I know some people want to, but...
Well, I mean, was the royal family in England any better or different?
Prince Harry and Meghan. You're fine. You've got a royal family.
Exactly.
Living in Montecito. They're fine. You're good.
Right, exactly. It's the same.
You gave us the ones you didn't want. I mean, come on.
You just need... People need some family that they can follow and sort of, like, project themselves onto or follow their gossip or their craziness. And...
How about Fred and Barney? You just put them up there. Be helpful.
Chris Wallace, your new show explores a wide range of interests unrelated to politics.
Like this.
What triggered this shift for you? Did you become burned out from politics after the past 6 years of Trump madness?
I didn't become burned out, but I became a bit bored. And I will actually say, not in the Trump years, because as much of a show as it was always interesting. And you'd wake up on Sunday and we had somebody who was literally in charge of the tweets, because when I got in at 6 in the morning, between then and 9, when I would do the show, things would change depending on a Trump tweet. But I spent so much time, for instance, in 2021, each week, slicing the salami thinner and thinner about what was the marginal difference between the Build Back Better plan this week versus last week. And it became kind of a bore. And conversely...
Good. Politics should be a bore. No, really. It's not supposed to be a show.
Well, I know, but you're also supposed to deal with big issues and try to solve them and get things done.
And that's boring. That's why Biden's good. He's doing it. That's why we elected him. Let's get back to boring and normal. Yes, I mean... You're right. Covering it, Build Back Better, was boring because they started with this number, and then guys objected and mentioned and this and cinema and everybody felt, and then it came down to a better number and a better program, and they passed it. That's the way it's supposed to work. Boring and effective, and people's lives are better for it. No?
No. But let me just say, as the host of a Sunday talk show, boring is not good. But the other thing was, I'm interested in a lot of stuff. I mean, I look at the people you have on the show, and they're not all politicians, right?
No.
And, with their scripted talking points. He has always been one of the least boring politicians in America.
Right,
which is why you want him on this program.
Right. Okay.
Okay.
I guess.
So, did you vote for Trump?
There's a secret ballot.
Some people don't care about that.
It was worth the question.
Yeah.
It was worth a try.
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
why not?
I'll have a better question. Did you vote for Trump?
I did.
Both times?
Yep.
Wow.
Wow.
And you would again?
No.
Good try. You've got more honesty out of me than you've gotten anybody else. So,
I'll take my winnings and go home. Okay, this is for everybody. Biden is declaring the risk of nuclear Armageddon is at the highest level since the Cuban Missile Crisis. Have a great weekend, everybody. As Russia continues to discuss the use of nukes on Ukraine, what is the U.S.'s best course of action to prevent such dire straits? Well, I'll start off, I hate to keep saying this, but I'm glad Biden's here for this, and not some idiot or someone who's 39. If we're talking about the worst nuclear possible crisis since the Cuban Missile Crisis, yeah, I want the 79-year-old guy there who's seen it all.
Yeah,
I'm not sure the use of the word Armageddon is very helpful. I mean, Putin wants us to be afraid, and half of Europe's in uproar about him saying Armageddon, because actually all that does is play into Putin's desire to make us afraid. You can say there's a serious threat, and there is a serious threat, and Bill Burns, the director of the CIA, who, thank goodness, used to be the ambassador to Moscow, has made it very clear to the Russians that were they to launch any kind of tactical or small nuclear weapon, as if that was possible.
Yeah, teeny tiny weapon.
Yeah. The Americans would bomb every Russian column in Ukraine and the war would be over, and sink every ship in the Black Sea. That's great. I'm just not sure the use of the word Armageddon.
And then what happens? And then you've doubled down on the guy who doesn't want to lose the war but has nuclear weapons.
Well, but perhaps even worse than that, if he goes away, who replaces him? And then you've got a whole bunch of nukes laying out there unsupervised, the second most in the world. And you got to start thinking about how you deal with that. And on your point about you want someone who's seen it all, so do I, but I'd like them to also understand it. And when he says nuclear Armageddon, it's clear to me he doesn't understand it because he's causing alarm in a way that is not productive. Like, you know what? If you really think that, then go and try to start to fix it. But don't give us some pronouncement that's going to scare the crap out of everybody.
Well, everyone should have the crap scared out of them, and there's no way to fix it. I don't know if there's any way to fix it. We could have fixed it in 1987 when Gorbachev and Reagan came that close to getting to zero. Remember?
That would have been a terrible idea.
A terrible idea.
I think so.
And I will tell you, zero nuclear weapons?
Yes, because there would never be zero nuclear weapons, and in a world where there's zero nuclear weapons, the person with one nuclear weapon is king.
Wins the ball game.
You may be
Yep, that's right.
You may be right. But we don't need. I mean, how many do we have now? At the time, we had like 30,000 each, which is.
Look, to me, the problem with him saying this stuff is your job is not to be a weatherman when you're president. Oh, let me show you what the map looks like.
Or a
now,
pundit.
Right? It's to go and come with a solution. And to say, we're as close to nuclear Armageddon as we've been since 1962. Well, okay, thanks a lot. Now, genius, what are you going to do about it?
Well, what would you do about it? What is the solution? Okay, so we're in an alternate universe now. Christie is president. He doesn't use this terminology, but he has the solution.
Well, first...
I'm all ears.
I'm so glad to have your attention.
You've got it undivided.
What he should be doing is he should be playing a constructive role between Zelensky and Putin. Putin knows he's losing. Putin's not stupid. He knows he's losing. You got to give him an exit ramp. He's got to find a way to get out without in saving face.
Okay, but that's a non-starter.
He has exit ramps. He's got, he's flush with cash from the high oil price. He's about to bring on another 300,000 troops. He controls the state media. He can call this a win at any moment that he wants to call it a win. So he is choosing not to take the exit ramp. I don't think there's any negotiation, especially now, to be done between Zelensky and Putin particularly.
Yeah, I disagree.
Well, Zelensky, the exit ramp would be some accommodation where he gets some territory in Ukraine, and Zelensky isn't going to go for that.
He'll go for letting him keep Crimea.
Well, that's kind of a done deal. That was annexed in 2014.
But that's some territory in Ukraine. You got to go in there and try to sell it, man. Don't be like setting your hair on fire and yelling about nuclear Armageddon unless you're going to come forward with a solution.
I mean, on the other hand, you're blaming Biden for what Putin is doing?
I'm not blaming Biden. I'm blaming Biden for saying nuclear Armageddon.
I know, but yes, but you can't blame him for the failure of Putin to take off-ramp after off-ramp that has been offered to him.
I just don't want.
You're saying, well, no, you got to go in and sell it. No,
go in and make a solution.
Putin doesn't want an off-ramp at this point, and there's nothing you can do about it. And frankly, I think Biden has handled. I agree. I think Armageddon was a stupid remark, but you got to handle this as well as you can. And right now, bloodying his nose and pushing back in where they are for Ukraine. Pretty good strategy.
Yeah, Biden's done a good job on this one
so
far. He's rallied NATO. He's kept them consistent.
He has.
He's supplied the Europeans with extra gas to try and get them through the winter as much as he can. He's kept the coalition together.
And he kind of thought Ukraine could win when nobody else did. He said, "We'll just back him." And
I don't disagree with any of that. But I think that the alarmist language he's using creates an atmosphere that makes it more likely to happen, not less.
I agree with you.
Well, we will be back next week, hopefully. Thank you very much.